everyone. So today we're going to talk about chickens. I'm very excited. Chickens were my first animal I got when I was out on my own, had my own place. I needed to figure it out all on myself. And what I've learned through doing my research is that no matter how you raise your chickens, or really any animal for that matter, however you're doing it, somebody will tell you that you are doing it wrong. It's kind of like when you're pregnant and everyone has to give you their opinions, but they're not always good opinions. They don't always fit you. Same thing goes with chickens. So I'm going to show you how I do it, what I've kind of learned from my research, and we'll go from there. So for my breeds, I'm sorry, in the background you can hear my guinea hens. That's a whole nother video. But my variety, I like to go based off of not only egg production, but also color, style, personalities, that whole thing. So you can see over there, that's my guinea hens. Like I said, that's a whole nother story. But I have right here a sex link. Over there, you can see my light Brahma. My rooster, I'm not sure what he is. I got him from somebody because roosters are typically free because people want to get rid of them. So that's where he came from. Hiding over there, kind of walking away right there. She's a speckled Sussex. Those are really good dual-purpose birds. I've also had quite a variety. I've had Easter eggers. I have a barred rock somewhere floating around my little homestead. I've had salmon favorals. Those are a lot of fun. They just got a good demeanor and they're very nice birds. But there are so many chickens to choose from. It is seriously based off of what do you want them for? Are you looking for meat? Are you looking for eggs? Are you looking for color and just to have fun? Totally doesn't matter. Just do what works for you. That's why I have such a variety. You know, every spring I go to the feed store to get my feed and I'm like, oh, there's all these chicks. And I always have to buy some because I'm like, I've never had this breed and I just want to try it. They're fun. And they're pretty easy to keep. So next we're going to talk about size. This is the door to my chicken coop. Nothing too special, but and I don't have a big chicken coop because obviously they have so much space to run around. This little guy in here, yeah, it needs cleaned. That's never ending story, but I have a 4x8 chicken coop. So that means I have, what is that, 32 feet of floor space. It is recommended to have 2 to 4 square feet of space per chicken. That's based on size though. So let's say you have a bunch of the little chickens, I don't remember what they're called. Let's say you have a bunch of those. You really only need 2 feet of space. However, with the kind of setup I have, having 2 feet of space in my setup personally is fine because they have so much space. I mean, you can see my other animals, they have the whole pasture. I free range. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can see I have chickens everywhere. Way over there, and some over there. There's probably some out yonder. I mean, they're everywhere. They are rarely staying in the chicken coop. And I'll show you why. Because even on the really, really cold days, we're just kind of sneaking through my shelter here. And I'll show you. So they come out this little hole here that I had to block so my goats wouldn't sneak in there because my goats are little. And they like to go hang out, there they go. They like to hang out in my other shelter where the rest of my animals are. So I have more than enough space. But it's also space. So you need to have roosting space for them. And believe it or not, chickens like to roost on circular things, kind of like a branch or a dowel, more than they like to roost on a regular board. So, sorry, I have my little paper here. For roosting bars, they recommend 10 to 12 inches per bird. Once again, that is size dependent. I'll go back to my coop and kind of show you what I have. And I have way too much roosting space because, well, quite frankly, some of my birds don't even roost. Woo! It's windy out today. Let's go in here. So, a lot of them like to roost on this thing. My husband and I made it one day. I got young birds that actually love that huge branch up there. Don't know why, but they do. And then way under there, it's just under the nesting boxes, I have about 4 birds I think that's super cool to roost on. And then this little dowel, you know, got it probably at Walmart. My guineas like to roost on that. So space, it's based on so many things, but you gotta do what's right for your birds. Let's see. We'll talk about feed now. And oh my gosh, so many opinions on feed. What I do, I go to the store. I usually go to Tractor Supply because I have a Tractor Supply card. So I get the perks and all that good stuff. But whatever you want. I'm not trying to sell a company or nothing like that. But I go to the store and I get my feed. I buy the 40-pound bag of layer feed. And, I mean, price is going up, so that's a whole nother thing. Costs about $15 to $20 per bag. But what I do is I mix cracked corn with mine for a couple of reasons. I did it during the summer because I free range. So, there's just plenty of space and bugs and other things that they can get their protein from. They're always eating something out and about. So they didn't need all that protein from their feed. So I substituted the cracked corn to save some money. Now I like to do the cracked corn when it's colder in winter because the cracked corn helps keep them warm, especially in the really, really cold times and the cold nights and such. So I'll show you my feed mixture. A lot of people would honestly say that I put too much cracked corn in there. You're only supposed to give cracked corn as a treat. I get eggs all the time. I mean, I have 4 eggs just sitting there. The one egg's a fake egg, so ignore that. But this is kind of my mixture. You know, obviously I didn't have it mixed very well because this is all cracked corn. And then this is 90% pellets. So, I mean, part of it is I just got to mix it better. But this is kind of what my mix looks like. I just fill the bucket up and they have free range. And even with their free ability to get feed, they never empty that because they have so much space to run around on. So do your research. Do what works best for you. I gave you the reason for why I mix cracked corn with mine for a money savings thing and to help keep them warm. You do you. Let's see, what are we going to talk about next? Table scraps. Another thing. A lot of people say, you shouldn't give your chickens table scraps. That's not good for them. Or they'll fill up on the table scraps and they won't get the proper nutrients. I give my chickens everything that we don't eat. And let me tell you, I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. There's a lot of scraps. And it all goes to the chickens. One thing I do know that you're not supposed to feed chickens is raw potatoes. So I guess I don't feed them raw potatoes. Not that we ever really have raw potatoes. But I give them the peels. People say you're not supposed to. Maybe you're just a bad chicken mama. But they do really well. Sorry, I'm going to go inside because it's so windy. But they do well with the chicken scraps. And they love the chicken scraps. I mean, they eat it up. And it makes my food waste, instead of putting it in the garbage, go to my chickens, which then 1, saves me money because that's less feed costs, and 2, provides me eggs, which that's great. Not that we eat a lot of eggs, but that's just a wonderful thing for me. If you're gonna feed your chickens meat, 1, don't feed them chicken. That's just cruel. They will eat it. I know some people do, but you do you. But otherwise, make sure your meat is cooked. So let's say your kid didn't want to finish all their spaghetti. Okay, there's a little bit of ground hamburger in there. It's cooked. It's not that big of a deal. But chickens are carnivores or omnivores, I guess. They will eat other meat. They will eat a chicken, or not a chicken. They will eat a rat, or they will eat a snake. That's a huge reason why I let my chickens free range, because they keep the snake population down. So that's huge for me. So feeding them meat is not this cruel, mean thing to do. It's a bird. You know, everyone says the early bird gets the worm. Well, yeah, literally, they eat worms. Let's talk about heating your chickens. I have always given my chickens a heat lamp when it's below 0 degrees. And then, you know, this is our second winter in Montana. We're from Wisconsin, but it's our first winter in Montana with the animals. They stayed in Wisconsin with my sister for the first winter. And so I didn't heat them this winter. Granted, it's only February. We got a lot of winter left, but we had a spell where we had highs of like -20 to -10 for like 3 days. That is bitter, bitter cold. And I read on Facebook, I'm on a few different pages, like homesteading pages or chicken pages or whatever. And people were asking, do I need to heat my chickens? And everyone said, nope, they are fine. They're fine. They'll be good. So I did not. And by golly, do I regret it. And I will show you why. I got to go hunt down my chicken. But my poor rooster, his name is S'mores. He came with that name. And, oh, there he is. That poor guy, his comb got frostbitten, turned black. And now he does not have a beautiful comb. And he's a beautiful rooster. And because I listened to Facebook, he got frostbitten. That was totally my bad. I'll show you. He may not let me get too close, but you can kind of see he doesn't have the pokey comb anymore. All the pokey prettiness fell off, and he just has a flat comb. Oop. Like I said, that was my bad. I listened to Facebook instead of listening to what I've done in the past. And I kick myself to this day because of it. Because one of my favorite hens also got her comb frostbitten. Super disappointed. But, you know, you live and learn. So, contrary to popular belief, if it gets really cold, heat your chickens. Look at that poor guy. No pretty comb. All because listen to social media. Now, on the flip side is cooling your chickens. I mean, I personally don't do anything special to cool my chickens. I learned from a podcast this cool kind of trick to see if your chickens are heat tolerant or cool tolerant. And basically, the bigger the comb, the more likely that they are a bird meant to be tolerant of heat, because birds or chickens don't sweat. They excrete heat through their legs, their comb, and they kind of flap their feathers and wings, and that's how they excrete heat. So if they have a big comb, that's probably likely that they are heat tolerant. And if they have a smaller comb, that's probably a good indicator that they are much better suited for these cool climates. Here in Montana, we have highs of -20. And then we, in the summer, hang out 100, 105 sometimes for a couple weeks on end. But where I personally live, it is super windy and there's just always a breeze. So that always keeps my chickens cool. And then, big, beautiful pasture, there's always spots, you know, especially right here. I don't know what it is about that spot, but it's just like extra sandy and dusty. Stay there and give dust baths to themselves, and that's what helps keep them cool. Otherwise, they'll go hang out under a trailer or in the shelter, get some shade. But having shade is important. Some people recommend misters. I personally don't. I just don't like the idea of getting my chickens wet on purpose. But that's my personal opinion. But if they have a breeze and a place to be shaded and somewhere that they can give themselves a dust bath, they should be fine. Let's see. Free range. That's the next topic that is on my list. I love free ranging my chickens. I mean, I have one over there. I have one over there. I have a bunch over there. I mean, they're everywhere. And I've free ranged for the last few years, and I really do love it. My feed cost is way cheaper than somebody that keeps them locked up, and they get nutrients. They're able to chew on like the gravel to get grit, and I personally just think they're pretty to look at. However, there are downsides, major downsides. I will randomly have a chicken disappear, and who knows what it's from. Was it a snake? Did it run away and they're kind of stupid? Did it just not come back? I have big hawks around, and now and then I'll hear owl. Did something like that come and swoop it up? Yesterday, I heard that there was a mountain lion sighting literally 5 miles from my house. Doesn't make me feel good. So you know, there's so many things that can come and take a chicken. And like I said, I will randomly have a chicken disappear. It's been a little while. Now that it's cold, they're kind of sticking a little bit closer to the coop. But yeah, that's not an uncommon thing. That's why I get chicks every year, to kind of keep my flock growing and new. But you know, that's something you got to be willing to deal with. And you know, I got this one hen, her name is Ruby. I love her. She is a doll. If she randomly disappeared, I would be really sad. But the way I raise my chickens, that's just kind of a risk I have to be willing to take. I don't like the idea of keeping them locked up. So that's just me. The other downside is there's poop everywhere. You know, some animals, they have a spot where they poop. Like, you know, my horse, he has a spot that he poops. And there's just a little extra horse poop there. Chickens are not that way. They poop everywhere. At my old house, my dad came in my house one day and he said, "You have chicken poop on your front step." Yep, sure do. You know, at this house, I keep the chickens off the deck, but that doesn't mean they don't go on the stairs and poop right on the steps up to my deck. It's just something I've chosen to deal with. And, yeah, it's annoying. It's real annoying. I can't wear nice shoes out in my yard without potentially stepping in poop unless I'm looking. Luckily, it's chicken poop and not horse or cow poop. But, yeah, it's just a decision you have to be able to make on your own and decide what you want to do. You know, kind of going back to predators, that is the reason I got my rooster. I have him a couple times, my big boy S'mores over there. And then I actually hatched out a rooster, so that was kind of fun. Are supposed to protect your flock. I never wanted a rooster because I got chased by roosters growing up, and that sucked. And I know that with having young kids, there's a good chance that they could actually get physically hurt from a rooster. You know, roosters there's a reason that they are involved in cockfighting back in the day, because they can be really aggressive. And there's a reason that I never wanted one, because I got chased by one so much growing up. But nonetheless, I chose to get a rooster for the sake of protecting my flock. Mostly from like the bigger birds, like the hawks and the owls that come around. And they're free. They're free everywhere. People don't really want roosters, and you can't really have more than a couple in a flock. But you know, it's something to consider if you're looking for some easy protection for your flock if you do free range. Yeah, and they're fun. I mean, they're pretty. They have their own personality. But yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. I could honestly go on and on about chickens. If there's anything you would like answered specifically, let me know. And I will probably talk about chickens another time. I actually ordered a bunch of meat chickens, Cornish cross. I've never done that, so this will be a whole new adventure this spring and early summer. I will hatch out some of my own chicks, so that'll probably be another video. I mean, I'm not no chicken expert by no means, but I really love them. And like I said, they were my first animal. I grew up on a dairy farm, but they were my first animal on my own homestead, so it's been kind of a learning curve. So if you have any questions or any specific good videos you want, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye-bye.